When the walls close in on the narcissist. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So frequently people think that the narcissist is off living their best life and they have all the money and all the access to the clubs, to the yachts, to the beach homes, and to the ski chalets and everything, and just they're living the dream. Not so fast. You see, the walls are closing in on the narcissist right now. They were closing in on the narcissist when you were with them. They were closing in on them when they were who they were with before they were with you. These walls get tighter and tighter for the narcissist. The window of their life gets smaller. The amount of people they can manipulate shrinks. The vast wasteland, the bottomless pit, the hole within them gets bigger and bigger, and the walls close in on the narcissist, not only in their mind, but in their energy field, with the people that want to communicate with them or don't, with the people that are now becoming awakened and aware, educated and empowered, with the people who are breaking the trauma bond, with the people who are breaking the cycle, with the people who are seen behind the mask each and every day. You see, years ago, the narcissist had it pretty good. They actually had a great, truth be told, because this was one of the great secrets of humanity that nobody ever wanted found out. Sure, it's written in old Bibles and Torahs and Korans and all scriptures and all these things from years gone by. And what are those books exactly? Well, I will tell you. They are forecasting or letting the population of today know that these same things existed in the past. These have always been around. The difference between way back then and now is that way back then they were documented on onion skin paper or on paper, however they did it. Now they're being documented on videos. They're being documented every time you see poor behavior and you look a term up. They're being documented every time you go no contact. They're being documented every time you finally cut the four ties from the toxic narcissist: the emotional, the financial, the physical, and the spiritual. And see, this is why the walls are caving in on the narcissist. So as I open up the video, many times people think, specifically once the relationship has ended, they think that the narcissist is just going to live the best life ever, puppies and rainbows and unicorns and butterflies and snickerdoodles and s'mores. That is not what happens. It won't happen. It can't happen. It isn't happening, and it never will happen. The narcissist goes through people the way you used to go through tennis shoes or running shoes. They wear people out. They throw them in the bin. They put on a new size shoe, and then they wear that person out. Think about what's the tread on your tire or what's the sole on your athletic shoe. It's meant to last a certain amount of time. There's your narcissistic relationship in a nutshell. The narcissist is loyal to nobody. They care about nobody. They will throw anybody, and I mean anybody, under the bus. Anyone who gets too close to them, physically, financially, via smartphones, on dating apps, social media, at the workplace, the neighbor, the person in the grocery store, the barista, or anybody in traffic. Anyone who gets too close to these people will pay a price. And that price usually includes toxicity. Maybe you had a rage fit and the narcissist gave you the bird, if you get my point. Don't like to use vulgarity on the channel, but maybe that's what they did. Or maybe the waiter in the wait staff was the narcissist and they weren't happy because you looked too happy. So you ordered the linguine with clam sauce and they gave you shrimp ravioli. And you would be saying, well, it was pretty clear. I ordered linguine with clam sauce. What happened there? Well, oh, I'm sorry. Let me get right on that. Well, now your meal has been disrupted. Can't say it's been ruined, but maybe that waiter who's the narcissist, and I'm not saying all waiters are narcissists. I'm not saying that at all. Waiters are great people. Anyone working in a restaurant needs their job, and I was doing that for quite a long period of time. But that's an example where the narcissist could lie. You see, the narcissist lies as in L-Y and L-I-E. They lie everywhere. The narcissist lives and exists under rocks. They exist in crevices. They exist and thrive in the darkness. They exist and thrive in the uncertainty. They want to keep people trapped on a roller coaster of emotions. They want to keep people planted in that uncertain mindset. And this is what the narcissist has done. But what the narcissist is beginning to realize, and yes, they are beginning to realize, each and every one of these toxic people on the planet are really beginning to get this message. And I will prove this to you right now. They're beginning to understand that they're going to either have to change their techniques and tactics, or they're going to have to look deeper in the ocean, or deeper in the pool of people to find what they're looking for. So many of us who have been in the narcissistic abusive cycle in the past and who have made it out and healed properly, we now have boundaries. We've become what I termed years ago the educated empath. And the educated empath is somebody who maintains their empathy. However, they've been in the narcissistic abusive cycle. They got out, however they got out. They cracked the code, figured out what narcissism is. They learned the terms in the glossary on the narcissistic abusive cycle. They finally went no contact, maybe changed their phone number, relocated, switched jobs, whatever they did, had a smaller circle they had to, and you stayed in that cocoon of boundaries as long as you could. But then eventually you healed. And as you healed, you got stronger. As you got stronger, the person you're considering, that narcissist from years ago, they meant or mean less and less to you. The less they mean to you, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the weaker they get. The weaker they get, the more you realize how deep in that narcissistic fog / relationship / trauma bond, narcissistic abusive cycle all rolled into one you were. You were in a place that you didn't even know existed. You didn't even know that there was such a thing as narcissism, but now you do. So we, the educated empath, or the people who were in the cycle, are growing in numbers. And we are now saying, no, I will not be tolerating poor behavior from anybody, whether it's your mom, whether it's your dad, your sibling, your ex-spouse, or your friend or colleague or neighbor, whomever. And you don't explain yourself anymore. You don't defend. You don't give it oxygen. What you do is you say, yeah, that's your baggage. It's not mine. It's got nothing to do with me. I was trapped in that narcissistic abusive cycle for years. I want nothing to do it, which is why now you can identify what gaslighting is, what the silent treatment is, what rage fit is, what verbal abuse is, and so many other terms. And you now know what a flying monkey is. You know what the smear campaign is. And you also know, for this part of the video, that the narcissist wants to destroy relationships. They don't want to build relationships. They want to destroy them. They don't want to cultivate and grow. They want to reap negativity, and they want to ruin people's mindset and relationships. This is why the narcissist will continue to go through life like a ticking time bomb as the walls are caving in or closing in all around them, specifically in their mind and the people they have access to, and they will have to shift directions. And a few moments ago, I told you I would prove it to you why narcissists all over the world are realizing this. Why do you think there are so many narcissistic channels out there on YouTube and all over the globe? Yeah, because I created a channel 5 years ago and began to spread the message, and this is my moonshot. I began to pay it forward. Of course, that has something to do with it. But it's not because of me. It's because more and more people have become awakened and aware. And it's not exclusive to those of us who are trapped in the cycle. Your average everyday person who's never been in a narcissistic relationship now knows what gaslighting is. That was the word of the year, I think, in 2022 or 2023, don't know. But more and more people are now trusting their instincts, trusting their intuition, paying attention to red flags, acknowledging green flags if they get any. And they say to themselves, nope, I've seen that rodeo before. I've heard that record before. I've seen that song and dance. I'm not going to do that. I will not participate. I'm not going to attend. I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to type a monologue to whoever it is. I will just politely decline and say, I've got other things to do. Thank you. That's with invitations or whatever you don't want to participate in. You see, you by now, if you've healed, you now know that your footprint is really small and your circle is extremely small. Is that what you wanted? Probably not. I didn't either. But the more you elevate and the more you heal and the more you focus on yourself, you'll realize you can't carry people with you, which is why each and every one of us who are on the healing path, we are all headed in the same direction, simply taking different footsteps. But the higher we ascend and elevate, the thinner the oxygen gets. This is literally and figuratively. The thinner the oxygen gets, the harder it is to breathe, but the clearer the view, the clearer the vision. And once we reach the mountaintop, the pinnacle of indifference, which is where I am, and my hope is that's where you are or you're working towards arriving at, you will see that that's where the eagles soar. That's where your average everyday bird can't get to. That's where people like yourself, and certainly myself, have put ourselves back together against all odds, risen through the ashes like a phoenix, and elevated and ascended. But this journey is not for everyone. And I'm not going to let you know who it's for. You're going to have to figure that out. But I can tell you one thing. If you made it this far in the video, you're doing the right thing. You're getting the wisdom. You're keeping your cup full or getting your cup full. And now you're understanding that, yeah, you are different than most people. And you don't have the amount of friends you used to have. And you don't want to participate in mundane, boring activities or things you used to do of the past. It doesn't mean other people don't enjoy them, because at one point you did. I'll give you an example: sitting around watching the football game, or sitting around watching sitcoms or watching TV or whatever it was, or movies. Whatever you're doing is great. Do what you want to do. But I'm sharing, once you have been trapped in the narcissistic abusive cycle and you have to heal, you don't want to do any of those things. You want to be working on yourself. The reason you want to is because you have to, because this is the relationship that has changed you. This is the relationship you need to heal from. And this you weren't prepared for. You weren't taught this in school. You had no idea that narcissism existed. And you didn't know that when you entered the relationship with that person, that your world was going to be spun upside down and that it would end like that. And that's usually what happens. So when that happened, you had to figure out what it was, which is why you are different than almost everybody who had ever encountered the narcissist before they met you. When I said figure out what it was, I mean figure out what narcissism is. So now fast forwarding, once you figure it out and you put yourself back together over time, because this will take time, a lot of time, but in your time you will heal if you utilize the tools that I provide for you with each and every video I create. When you heal, and as you heal, you realize actually you don't need 500 friends. You don't need 10,000 Facebook friends. You don't need 50,000 IG fans or friends or whatever social media platform it is. By now you've probably figured out post-relationship that you shouldn't be on a dating app. If you're on one, good luck. It's all I can tell you. They're crawling with toxicity. Grifters, manipulators, people trying to steal anything they can from you, which does include your heart, your mind, your time, your money, access to you, or just to listen to you, or just to have you listen to them for 5 hours on a Friday night. So your weekend is blown up and you're thinking about them and you want to put out their fires for them, even though they live 3,000 miles away from you. You've never met them, you never will, but they're asking you to send them money because their poor sick aunt is in the hospital and they need help, or they can't pay rent, or they can't put food on the table. So they tell you that song and dance on a Friday night for 5 hours. You start sending them money. They're siphoning money from you, but not only you, all the other people that they have on the hook, and you're trapped again. See, that's why you don't get on dating apps or social media platforms listening to other people's nonsense, listening to other people's sob stories. That is most likely how you got trapped in the narcissistic abusive cycle. Being too trusting, being an open book, having no boundaries, not trusting your instincts and intuition, and look where that got you. Exactly. I can say that because it's the same thing that happened with me. But again, when you get out, you can't unsee what you've seen, and that's why you need to heal. Once you've healed, you will realize that all the baggage and everything that was dumped into you at the hands of the narcissist, it's all their baggage, it's not yours. Example, maybe the narcissist told you you'll never walk again, or you'll never see again. People don't have surgeries like that and ever be able to walk properly or see again. Well, not so fast. Get my point? Wink, wink. Having said all of these things, as the thumbnail mentions, why the walls close in on the narcissist, or they're closing in on the narcissist? Because they now realize they can't do what they used to do. We, the collective, are getting wiser, stronger. We are having boundaries, we're implementing them, and we're not dealing with toxicity the way we used to. We are now trusting ourselves, which is what the narcissist didn't want us to do. And all of these things equal a couple big blows, body blows, if you will, or left jabs and uppercuts and right crosses to the narcissist. These are figuratively, not literally. What they mean is now the narcissist has to up their ante. They have to change the game, the techniques and tactics of how they try to get supply sources or manipulate people. And this is what they've done over time. It's what they will always do. Think about this. Think about all the people, the scam artists all over the planet. Well, people got scammed in the old days, maybe playing 3-card money in New York City, or the shell game, if you're old enough to remember those things. They probably still go on. Well, then fast forward, then it was the want ads or the classified ads in newspapers. Lonely heart, missing somebody, just want to meet. If I could only meet somebody, the love of my life. Well, there's your narcissist for you right there, okay? Doesn't mean everyone is, but these are the classifieds of days gone by. Then the smartphone rolls around. Well, what do we have now? Now we got dating apps. Ding, ding, ding. Now the narcissist gets supplied 24/7 at their fingertips on any of their 3 smartphones. Well, now we are catching up with them, knowing the games that they play, and now we are understanding what they're doing. But just like AI is here, because it is here, whether you know it or not, and if you don't embrace AI, you really should. I'm not saying lean into it 100%. I'm saying get familiar with it, because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. That's just the way it works. That's what we all thought when the internet came around. That's what we all thought when the computers came around. That's what we thought when smartphones came around. But look, we became accustomed to them, and that's the progress of the planet. So AI is here. But having said that, the narcissist will most likely be using AI if they're not doing it already. to figure out what the next technique is, how to plant a new seed, how to come up with a new story that no one's ever thought of before, how to get a new person trapped in a new cycle. And this is what the narcissist does. As I shared with you before I get ready to close the video, remember the beginning of the video, I shared with you your runners or your exercise shoes, your running shoes. Well, on the bottom of that, you have treads or a sole, whatever it's called. That thing, you can't use the same pair of running shoes forever. That's why they have a time and a date when you need to get a new pair of shoes or running shoes, and you go to the store and you buy a new pair. Well, what do you do with the other pair? Well, if they're unusable, you throw them away. Well, that's what the narcissist does with people. See, you were an appliance to them. You were a pair of running shoes. I was too. They never loved you. They never cared about you. They just cared what they could take from you. And so when the narcissist tried to destroy your life, and they did not succeed because they didn't succeed with my life, they tried, and they did a really good job at doing it, but they failed because they always fail, because the narcissist is one big failure. And they should play that part of the video again if they're still here watching what I'm creating. But having said that, what the narcissist doesn't get, or what the narcissist does, is they try their best to burn people out, just like those running shoes. And they never think that the person who they threw away, or crumble up like a sheet of paper on the freeway and throw away, or in this case, throw away the shoes that don't work any longer, they never think that those shoes will ever get picked out of the bin and retreaded better, stronger than ever. That is what I've done. That's what you're doing, which is why the narcissist will have to deal with all the ghosts that continue to spin around in their brain. They'll have to deal with all the walls closing in on them more and more and more. They'll have to deal with what happens when their smartphone batteries, plural, run out because there's a power outage for a few days. They'll have to figure out what to do when they have to pay their own rent or mortgage. Well, they probably won't have a mortgage, rent, because there's no one paying it for them. They'll have to figure out what they do when they're on the dating app, swiping left, right, up, down, and no one's taking the bait any longer. And they used to be able to get people 10, 20, 30 years younger than them. And now people of their same age group want nothing to do with them. They'll have to deal with this because the walls will be closing in more and more on the narcissist when their own children want nothing to do with them. Their own friends figured them out finally. They're not invited to the nice, cool party that they used to be getting invited to every December or every April or whatever it was. They'll have to figure out what to do when they have now relocated 5 times in the last 5 years to different provinces or different cities or towns or jurisdictions, but it's not enough because where they just moved to a couple weeks ago, people already know who they are because their reputation is preceding them, and that's not a good thing. You see, this is what's happening to the narcissist all over the world. The walls are closing in on them, and they know it. They'll never tell you that because, first of all, you shouldn't be talking to them, and you're not because you've got no contact, but they won't tell that to anybody. What the narcissist will continue to do is to lie, to steal, to cheat, to manipulate, and to play a victim card when necessary, a superior card when necessary, and to claim that they never, that you never did anything for them anyway. This is why these people are trapped in the narcissistic abusive cycle. I'm talking about the narcissist. It just goes around and around and around in a loop. And you were right in the middle of it with them in that low vibrational state for such a long period of time. I call it the low vibrational quagmire state. You were existing, you weren't living. You were hanging on for dear life by a fingernail. You didn't realize that, but you were. Now you're out. You've healed, or you are healing, and you realize, because you will if you haven't yet, the walls are always caving in on the narcissist. The walls are always closing in on the narcissist. This is why they're always running. This is why they can't go to sleep at night properly. This is why when those batteries on their smartphone do burn out, they panic. This is why when no one pays them attention or no one gives them the eye like, wow, you're so attractive. When people stop doing that, what do? It takes a big hit to their ego. That's why these are monumental narcissistic injuries that they will continue to experience over and over and over again. Because the stronger we get, the educated empaths, the collective, the people who are figuring this stuff out, the weaker the narcissists, plural, all over the planet get. And this is what they never wanted you to figure out because they always had the upper hand until when? That's right, until they didn't. And that's why I create videos each and every day to pay it forward. To those of you who keep coming back to keep your cup full or get your cup full, and for those of you who didn't, or perhaps don't even now know that you need help. You see, at one point, we all were what is known as the new supply. The new supply is not a good spot to be in. Many times we think that the new supply has it so good, they don't. When you were the new supply, did you have it good? You thought you did, but you didn't. You were being peppered with abuse. You were having that invisible lasso tied around your waist and being pulled in a direction of toxicity, manipulation, abuse, and pain. But that's why we've healed. That's why the new supply is going to get what you got, only worse, unless they're a toxic person themselves. But anyway you cut it, the walls are always caving in on the narcissist. The walls are always closing in on the narcissist. And the narcissist is running out of places to hide, and they know it. That's why the beautiful, bright, shining light within you continues to elevate you, those loved and trusted ones around you, and it maintains a protective circle of energy around you, which is known as healing. When you healed, or you have healed, or you're healing, you can't go back to the old ways. Those days are done. They almost took you down for the count, but they didn't. You're here. You need to make sure you maintain no contact, maintain your boundaries, and understand that the walls are caving in on the narcissist. The walls are closing in on the narcissist. They've always been doing that. They just couldn't, they didn't want you to know it. Now that you know it, get as far away from these people as you possibly can. I love you all. So that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm going to end this one a little early because I have a long walk back today. I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye.